Hail, fellow sorcerers, Rude here, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Archives of the Realm and Everything Sorcery Contested Realm YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that we've seen pop up in a number of different online forums and discussions, specifically with the approach of beta coming very soon. A lot of individuals are asking the question, should I start to play sorcery? What's this game about? And are thinking about either adding this game to their current list of TCGs, or even potentially moving and transitioning from one TCG to pick sorcery up as their main game. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about what makes the game fun, in our opinion, some of the really unique and key features that this brings to the table that other games may not, and some of the things that we have found make the gameplay so enjoyable and so fun. Talking a little bit about our experiences playing, and a little bit about the history behind, our reason for choosing to transition over to sorcery. So, beginning with the gameplay, which I think is critical for most TCGs, we want to think a little bit about what sorcery does differently and how it kind of takes that pre-existing fantasy TCG formula, expands upon it, and makes it its own, helping to create a unique experience that's unlike any other TCG that we've played, specifically with a focus on fantasy games. One of the main things that we believe is unique about sorcery is the grid system. So as you'll see with the playmat that we have in front of us, there are 20 different grid spaces. It's a 5x4 grid, and each individual will take turns essentially playing sites on the battlefield that will allow them to move units around, cast spells in different locations, and it really adds a level of depth and interaction that you don't see in a lot of other TCGs. In addition to the grid system, which gives a wonderful feel of tactical placement of cards and having to think about where you're going to move next, we also see the use of the avatars. So here we've got a copy of our sorcerer. This is one of the foil promos that came with the alpha set. And you'll see that the avatar has a number of tap abilities down at the bottom. For the sorcerer, we see tap to play or draw a site, or you can tap to play a spell. Typically, your sorcerer starts at the bottom of your board, and you would then be able to draw sites to fill out the different grids. Now, the sorcerer may seem similar in nature to one of the more common gameplay components in Magic the Gathering, Commander format, but the unique thing about the avatars in sorcery is that they actually can traverse the battlefield by moving. You need to think very strategically, as they're one of the primary ways of playing sites and filling out your hand. And in addition to that, they also are where your life total is housed. So conceptualizing the game, the sorcerer's life is linked to your own. When the sorcerer, in this case, my avatar, the sorcerer, takes damage, that would then come out of my life total. So you need to be really strategic in terms of where you move your avatar, where you leave them, how they stay placed on the battlefield. And I think that adds a really rich element of gameplay to this. Instead of just having a figurehead as your general, you now have an actual unit that you've got to move around the battlefield and think about where you're going to place them. The win condition as well is specifically linked to your avatars, and the win condition in sorcery is being placed on death's door. So after your life total is decreased from 20 down to 0, you enter a state of invulnerability for one turn called Death's Door. What Death's Door allows you to do is potentially to move your avatar to a location so that they can remain safe as your opponent attempts to do damage to that. Once you are at Death's Door, you can't gain life, but it allows you to kind of continue to play the game and try to even the playing field with your opponent. And it's a really unique and refreshing take on the traditional you get down to 0 and you lose. It also prevents turn 1 wipes and really big board swings from ending the game immediately, and gives the individuals playing the game an opportunity to think strategically about how they can play defensively, or if you're about to put someone at death's door, how you're going to be able to finish them off. So you can't reduce life by attacking sites after Death's Door. You have to defeat your opponent by hitting their avatar. In addition to this, we think that the site placement is really, really unique. So you can have a site that places itself next to another and creates a great synergy. You can also have sites that block your opponents' other sites and takes their abilities away. One of the things that we really like about Sorcery that's different than a lot of other TCGs on the market is that your deck is essentially split into two separate decks, one being your sites and the second deck being your spells. It's up to you to choose strategically, are you going to draw a site? Are you going to draw a spell? Will you tap your avatar to play a site? Or are you going to do something else and maybe move them and not be able to play a site for that turn? It gives the game a little bit more consistency, whereas in some other TCGs, you may find yourself getting to the point where you are drawing cards from your deck, but unfortunately not getting any mana, and limiting what you can do. Here, that's really up to the player. You choose when to shift priorities from playing your sites to playing your spells, and it really takes a lot of thought to determine which one is the right move to make at this turn. So we think that having those two separate decks is quite unique and a wonderful way to really increase the player's ability to control the battlefield. Additionally, there's a three-dimensional aspect to Sorcery, which is very different than a lot of other TCGs. We've been talking about different sites. There's also a subterranean level where individuals can burrow or submerge, whether it's a water site or an earth site, and they aren't affected by the surface spells. So that three-dimensional aspect allows the individual to create their battlefield, place their sites, and strategically then use their units or spells to control the battlefield itself. Perhaps you have a spell that allows you to bury an opponent, and that minion takes with it a relic down to the subterranean level that they can't access or use other than getting another burrowing minion. It really adds a level of complexity and richness to the gameplay experience that we have enjoyed immensely. Finally, one of the things that we think that Sorcery does really well is use the strategic use of language incredibly well to increase immersion. So what we essentially mean is that they use language precisely to change the way the cards read. So instead of it just saying tap to do X, Y, or Z damage or ability, it's really descriptive, and it pulls you into the card itself and allows you to craft almost a visual narrative of what's happening. You know, tap to push the boulder, tap to jump over a site. It allows you to envision the content of the card actually acting and engaging and interacting with the world, whereas a lot of other games are much more mechanical. And I think that with the high quality art, the focus on lore and storytelling, and that ability that the developers have had to really use very descriptive and immersive language, it just takes the gameplay to a whole different level. What we also think is a huge bonus and a positive is that the amount of interaction between cards is huge. So the alpha set has 403 cards. We're going to see about 402 in the beta set from what we've been told. And we know that there are certain ways to play the game that really allow for that strategy and interaction to make a huge and enjoyable experience. So something as simple as taking a site such as the Geistwood, which is a unique site that allows you to have a Genesis ability that also activates as a Deathrite ability. So the Geistwood is a wonderful card that can be paired with other cards such as the Grandmaster Wizard, which has a Genesis ability that allows the individual to draw 3 spells. But if you pair those 2 cards together, you gain the Genesis ability of the Wizard, drawing 3 spells when it's cast, and then subsequently, if you choose to, say, for instance, use a Violamp or Scarabs on your own side or any other damage-dealing card to hit that Wizard, you'll then draw an additional 3 cards. So it's a really, really, really unique way to have some exciting interaction between different cards. You can also play sites that will disable your opponent's sites or even shift the battlefield, creating voids and moving into them to give you a strategic advantage. So we think that the amount of combinations of card interaction is just so huge and so exciting. And in addition to that, the focus on artifacts and relics that can be used by any deck really can take a deck and just change it completely in terms of how it plays, just by adding one or two additional relics into that deck. So we think that the interactions between the cards, the multiple levels of gameplay, the strategic use of sites and moving cards around the battlefield is just such a unique element of this game compared to other games where it's a back and forth, and really the placement of the cards on the table has no real meaning. I've seen a lot of individuals describe it as like a 3D chess game meets fantasy TCG, and I think that's a pretty good description. We also love the focus on art and world building that allows the players to organically create their own stories and narratives as the game unfolds. What we have found is that almost every game we play creates this wonderful story and narrative that's memorable, that allows you to really enjoy not just the gameplay itself, but the whole reason you're playing to begin with, which in our opinion isn't just to win the game, it's to experience an interaction with another person, and really have a shared experience that allows you to get transported to a different world. You can see that in the art, you see it in the playmats that Eric's Curiosa has developed. Phenomenal job at immersion, and also keeping the game open enough so that each individual player can kind of craft their own narrative and interpret the lore and history for themselves with the people that they're playing with. So that shifts us to why I made the switch. I started playing Magic the Gathering in 1995. Like many individuals, it was just such a unique and refreshing and fun experience, and something that drew me into a world of fantasy that I had never really experienced before in a game. Reading books and seeing different movies, it had helped me to really enjoy that fantasy universe, but being able to play something where you choose that deck that you're going to be able to put into motion and play against other individuals was just so unique and so fun. And Magic the Gathering, for me, really brought my world together when I was younger. It led me to meet my best friend of 30 years. Most of the major phases of my life have had it involved at some point or another, whether it be playing a casual game with friends over dinner or just talking about it in between taking large breaks from it. But unfortunately, over the years, it lost its feel. That initial draw to engage in a world building experience and to have a fun back and forth fantasy based card game match just disappeared. It turned into seeing how you can build the best net deck and creating incredibly competitive deck lists that just would allow you to roll your opponent and not even enjoy the experience. A lot of fighting between players when one person had a disagreement about rules, and it really led me to stray away from it. And I tried a lot of other TCGs throughout the years, the Pokemon card game, the Star Wars card game, Lord of the Rings, original card game, Battle for Middle-earth, and a lot of other things like Warhammer 40k and the Warhammer card games themselves. But I really hadn't found anything that brought back that original feeling of just wonder and awe and excitement about picking up a deck of cards and sitting down with a bunch of people that maybe I just met and getting to know them over a really, really fun interaction with immersive gameplay. So we found that the experience that Sorcery Contested Realm brings to the table just fits. It feels great. It's led almost all the folks that I've talked to, and creating the video today, really speaking to a lot of players that I've met on the official Discord, actually met in real life and had a chance to make some new friends, and even some old friends that have started playing. Almost everyone has the same response. It's easy to pick up, it is fun to play, and it's just immersive and exciting. And it brings back a feeling that most individuals haven't had for decades. So we're not here to sell the game. We're not here as an official representative of Eric's Curiosa. We're here as gamers that are just sharing our experience and helping other people to answer the question of, is this something that I want to try out? Now, with that, we need to acknowledge that the game isn't perfect, and there are some things that I think will be ironed out as the sets continue to move forward. One of the big things, which I don't think is unique to Sorcery, but is probably just a component of a new game being a new game, is that with the number of cards, the number of interactions, and the way that the wording is on the cards, that you sometimes need to use an external source like the Rules Discord to give you the opportunity to clarify how card interactions work. But luckily, the community for Sorcery is fantastic. The official Discord has a wonderful rules channel that allows you to post questions and almost instantly get answered. And the community itself is just really supportive, really engaged, and really willing to help individuals learn. So that moves us to our last, final portion. If you're interested in Sorcery, what can you do? How do you get some cards? How do you begin to play and experience the game? And luckily for you, Eric's Curiosa has made it incredibly easy to play Sorcery for free. So there are a number of different options. We'll talk about the first one if you're more interested in trying out a physical card experience. Prior to investing in the cards myself, you're able to use a printable PDF that they have posted on their official website to create a deck of physical cards. As you can see here, I've some of the extra cards printed that I haven't cut out yet. And these are the pre-con decks for Alpha, and they are an absolutely wonderful way to experience the game in a first-person, playing with your friends experience. What I've done is print these on cardstock. I went to a local FedEx. It was really cheap. It was super quick. They were able to get it done, within hours of submitting the request. And then I chose to sleeve them up. And a little trick is I put a traditional card underneath. So for the print and play cards, because they were a little flimsy on this cardstock, sleeving them and then placing a harder cardstock card behind it, it was really a wonderful opportunity to feel the cards the way that they might feel and to put them in a playable format so that I could use them with my friends prior to picking up an actual copy of the pre-constructed decks. In addition to the pre-cons that you can get on the website in PDF form, they also have created an awesome card database, Curiosa.io, that allows you to essentially create any deck with all of the cards, and you can use that in an official Tabletop Simulator workshop add-on to play any deck that you want, that you've created with anyone that has Tabletop Simulator. It's just a phenomenal show of faith to the community. Really, the product is there to connect people. There's no microtransactions. You don't need to pay to open packs, and maybe you'll get something that you want that you can add to your online deck. If you have Tabletop Simulator, which we'll have a link in the description to the Steam page if you're interested, it's around $20, but often goes on sale. And the workshop item that is officially created by the Sorcery team is totally free to download, and you can use their Curiosa website, link also in the description below, to create any deck or even browse decks that have been posted by other individuals. So they really have done an awesome job at making the game accessible, allowing players to interact, and really trying to create an open environment for people to just test it out and have fun, to create decks that are full of the cards that everyone wants but maybe didn't get in their booster packs. So it's a really good opportunity. And in addition to that, here at Archives of the Realm, we've created a Discord channel. If you are interested in learning how to play Sorcery, please click the link in the description. You're welcome to join our channel, and one of our seasoned players would be more than happy to walk you through a tutorial and teach you how to play the game. It's just really fun, and we've found teaching people is just as fun as playing against seasoned veterans. So thank you once again for joining us. As we are a new channel, if you're interested in the content like what we're creating, we would ask that you please like and subscribe, and even drop a comment below if there's something that you're interested in seeing for upcoming videos or something that you'd really like to ask. We would love to interact and really want to thank you for your support and watching. So have a great day.